Hello class. So today what we'd like to do is we'd like to look into finding centers of a triangle. Especially we like to look at centroid and circumcenter and orthocenter. So let's try to look at the centroid first. This will be the easiest. Centroid, in fact, centroid is formed by having the medians intersecting at a point. Now, but for now, what we like to do is this. Instead of finding the equation of median, what we like to do is we like to just use the formula for the centroid. x1 plus x2 plus x3, meaning you're going to add all x values divided by 3, meaning getting the average of x values, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 and y sub 3 all over 3. That becomes the centroid. So therefore, first, in our case, when you add up the x values, 1 plus 7 and then minus 6 over 3. Second, y value will be 7 and then minus 3 and minus 2 over 3. Now, if I have to calculate this one, our centroid would have been equal to 2/3 for x value, and the y value will be, in fact, will be 2/3, happen to be the same number. So our centroid would be 2/3 by 2/3. So what we like to do is we like to maybe just look into this one, and then 2/3 would have been around here, and then 2/3. So I'll say this point around here will be the centroid, and I use the blue color to indicate it. Now, second center which we like to look at will be the orthocenter. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy down the coordinates here, or maybe what we like to do is we like to copy the entire picture. All right. And then that's the one we don't need. All right. So now, second one, I'm going to use the green. What we like to do is orthocenter. How do you figure out the orthocenter? In fact, orthocenter is collection of the altitudes. So if you look into this one, first, why don't we try to find the altitude from A? So I'm going to call it altitude from A. Imagine an altitude from A, then what's going to be happening is I'm going to use the green color to show. It's going to be somewhere around here. Now, then, and then we should have some sort of right angle. I have no idea where they're meeting, but it's going to be around here, so somewhere, let's say. And what's going to be happening here is this. We need to find, we know the point. Point is 1, 7. We just need to find the slope of this line. Let's call this one as a maybe D. Slope of AD, in fact, is equal to -1 over negative reciprocal of slope of the other line segment, opposite line segment, which is slope of BC. And what is the slope of BC? Change of y, which is what, -3 minus -2, which ends up in power, plus 2. Now, 7 minus -6. If you have to simplify this one, what we end up getting is this. We'll have -1 over 13. Then slope of line segment AD, which is the altitude from A, will be negative of the negative becomes positive. Reciprocal of 1 over 13 becomes simply 13. That is our slope, and our point is 1 comma 7. So therefore, the equation that which you end up getting here is y minus 7, which is equal to 13 times x minus 1. Alright, that is the first equation. How to get the second equation? Maybe we'll try to find the altitude, maybe from C, point C. Then in this case, maybe point C, the altitude would have been somewhere along this line, I guess. And then showing the fact that, hey, this is a right angle, which makes this one as an altitude. So D, maybe let me call this one as point E. Then once again, if you want to find the slope of CE, which is the slope of the altitude, what we end up getting is negative reciprocal of the slope of its opposite side, which is AB. Now, in order for us to find the slope of AB, then we're going to have 7 minus negative 3, change of y value over 1 minus 7, change of x value. So here we have 10 over negative 6, which is equal to negative 5 over 3. Now that means our slope of the perpendicular line, especially altitude, will be negation of the negative becomes positive, and then 3 over 5 becomes our slope. And the point here is that since we are starting from negative 6 comma negative 2, our equation would have been y plus 2, which is equal to slope here, our new slope, that is 3 over 5, x, and then x value here will be plus 6. Now, in this case, we can try to do this one in two different ways. One way which we can do it is by using the calculator. So in order for us to use a calculator, what we have to do is we have to convert these equations in form of, we have to express these two in terms of x. And that's what we need to basically solve for y. Let us try to do that together. Here, the first one becomes 13x minus 1, but adding 7 to both sides, so we have plus 7. How about the second one? Second one simply becomes 3 over 5 and then x plus 6. Same work as before, but we will be subtracting 2. And we just have to set these two things equal to each other, meaning intersection. So, let's look at one such equation. So 13x minus 1 plus 7. Then x minus 1 plus 7. Now, second one becomes 3 over 5 and x plus 6 we'll try to do that one more time. 3 over 5 and then x plus 6 and we're going to do minus 2. Alright, now so we'll try to look at these two things together. On a standard zoom 6 will be the standard, and that's the first, and that's the second. So what we want to do is we want to find this particular point. How are we going to do that? Second, trace, which will calculate us. I'll give us some calculations. 5, intersection. Is that the first curve? Yes. And let's enter. Is that the second curve? You can see what kind of curve it is, and then say yes. And guess? Yes, please do. Then we end up getting this one as our answer. Now, one thing which we can do is we can try to put the values to the nearest tenth, or we can just use the fractional values also. Here, all the centers seems to be at 0.61. So 0.61, okay, and then y value seems to be 1.96. So in fact, we are looking at something more towards this one. All right, that means I guess I might have to adjust my picture. It would have been more like this to make it into perfect altitude. All right, great so far. Now, so we figured out the second center, which is orthocenter. Now, what we like to do is this: we like to look at the circumcenter. So we are looking at the circumcenter now. What makes circumcenter? In fact, circumcenters are by the perpendicular bisectors. Now, perpendicular bisector, this in fact implies that it's going to go through the midpoint. So what we know, what we need to know is the midpoint and the slope of the line, so that we can make the perpendicular line from there. Then let's try to look at perpendicular bisector between AB. Then first we need to find the midpoint. Midpoint is rather easy to find because you have to get the average of x and y. So we're going to have 1 plus 7 over 2, and the y values are 7 minus 3, 7 plus negative 3 over 2, which is equal to 4, comma 2. Will be the midpoint. So we're looking at this point right over here. And then what is the slope? In fact, slope, first we need to figure out between A and B. What is the slope of A and B? So what we can say is negative 3 minus 7, y2 minus y1, that means 7 minus 1, x2 minus x1. So we end up having negative 10 over 6. That means the slope of the perpendicular line must be positive, and the reciprocal, which is 3 over 5. So I do think we do have information regarding the point and the slope. Then we should be able to find the equation of the point-slope method. So here, y minus 2, this came from the point value here, y value over there, is equal to 3 over 5, and then x minus 4. Now, this would be the equation of one perpendicular bisector. So then, this basically around here, I guess, if I had to just have a something along that line. Okay. Now, second, since we found the perpendicular bisector between A and B, maybe we'll try to find the perpendicular bisector between C and B. Now, then first we need to find the midpoint of between C and B. Is negative 6 plus 7 over 2. Adding the x values and divided by 2. Y is negative 2 plus negative 3 over 2, which basically is equal to 1/2 comma negative 5 over 2. So we end up getting basically right over here. That's the point. Now then, what is the slope? Slope of BC or CB, I believe we figured it out earlier, which was equal to negative 1 over 13. So here we have negative 1 over 13. And the slope of the line that's perpendicular has to be simply 13. Now, then, using this one, we can set up the equation where we have y plus 5 over 2 is equal to, the other side is slope, since c is equal to 13, times x minus 1/2. Now, all we have to do is find the values of x and y between these two equations. For this question, why don't we try to just do it without the calculator and see what happens. In order for us to make this equation a bit simpler, what we can do is we can multiply left and right side by 5, because that will make the equation rather simpler looking. So multiply that by 5, then what do we end up getting? We have, yes, in fact, what we like to do is this. How about this? Instead of multiplying by 5 now, we'll take care of the fractions a bit later. Since y's are equal to each other, what we can do is this. Y, in fact, must be equal to, based upon here, 3 over 5 x minus 4 plus 2. On the other hand, y has to be equal to 13 times x minus 1/2 minus 5 over 2. Now, as you can see, we have two sets of fractions here with the denominator of 5 and denominator of 2. Which number would be nice for us to multiply so that we can get rid of denominator of 5 and 2 at the same time? That's right, we can multiply each side by 10, which is common multiple between 5 and 2. Now, then once we multiply by 10 on all sides, then what we end up getting is this. Here we have 6x minus 4, because 5 cancels out with 10, leaving 2. And then 10 times 2 becomes simply 20. On the other side, if we multiply 10, here what we can do is, yes, 130 x minus 1/2, and then minus 25. Now what we can do is we can distribute 6 and then 130 and continue to see what's happening. Here we have then 6x minus 24 plus 20 must be equal to, on the other side here, we have 130x and then minus 65 minus 25. Now bringing all the x values onto one side, then we will end up having 124x. And on the if we have to bring all the other values to the other side here, then we would have 65 plus 20 and then plus 1, so we will end up getting 86. So if you have to divide by 124, then we'll end up getting answer that's rather nice. So first we can divide top and bottom by 2, then we get 43 over 62. All right. So that's the x value. And what's the y value? Well, in order for us to find the y value, we just have to plug this one in. But looking at that, it looks like our point should be around here. Then, as you can see, these three centers: orthocenter, centroid, and then the circumcenter will all line up. And in fact, if you are to connect all those 3 points, then you will realize that they will pass through those 3 points. And that is called a Euler line or Euler line. All right, so that's about it. Have a great time and enjoy. See you guys later. Bye.